Hey guys, it's Golden Wheels. If any of you saw my older video about the Nintendo stand I built, you might remember I mentioned also wanting to do an Atari 7800 version, and I finally finished it. Unlike my last stand, which featured at least a little bit of real carpentry, 2x4s, plywood, etc., this was put together using a prefab TV stand and a prefab VCR swivel stand you can find on eBay. The TV cart, which is all it is, this came from Walmart for $20. The swivel stand came off of eBay, I believe it was $25. So there's not a lot of money in parts, and everything I did here can be done with one circular saw or table saw cut and the use of a power drill. You don't need a lot of knowledge, you don't need a lot of tools. If you want to put together a cool little thing for your game room, this is simple stuff to do and you can do it. The TV is a 20-inch Sony Trinitron, found at my local recycling center, which is a nice way around here of saying the dump. I guess in some places it is actually getting harder to find CRTs, so when you see nice ones, I often grab them and throw them in the basement just to sit on them as a gamer. It's always a good idea to have a spare if you really want it. In the past I didn't have room for it, but thankfully nowadays I do. I mounted the 7800 so it hangs from either side. Normally if you see a 7800 and it's sitting on its base, it'll be sloped forward. And that's neat. You don't see a lot of systems that are sloped forward like that, but I thought it looked kind of cool, hung from either side. I've got a small bit of Velcro, as you can hear under there as it kind of wrinkles up, that keeps the console from sliding around or anything like that. And having the room underneath lets me not only route the power cords and the video cord out of the back and into that small hole under there, it's a little tough to see, but it also lets me put controller extensions out of there and hide all the wires so that I don't have to see them coming in front of the screen, dangling, etc. So on one side over here I have an extension running to a modded Radica Space Invaders plug and play stick. I believe this was modded by the Golden Axe. He's a member at Atari Age. Really nice little stick, 2-button functionality with the 7800 and ambidextrous. So lefty or righty, you're good to go over here. For a long time, this was my best option for playing any 2-button 7800 game, and the ones that are better with 2-button but would work with 1-button, I would use this for. You can, of course, a lot of people know, you can use a Genesis pad. Off-brand, real brand arcade stick, any Sega Genesis control method should work with an Atari 7800 for 1-button games. Problem with that is that at least a fair amount of the 7800 games, if they don't require the second button, which some of them do, many of them are at least better played with 2-button functionality. Now there's a new company, and this is very recently, probably within the last month of 2014, that a company's come up with an adapter called the Seagull 78. The company's name is Ed Ladden. And this little thing works great. This gives you 2-button functionality with any Genesis controller, and I have thrown ASCII arcade sticks, standard arcade sticks, Sega pads, the off-brand Owl pad, just about everything. They all work flawlessly. It's a great little converter. And of course, like my Nintendo stand, I needed game storage. I really liked the way this looked from the outside, and Atari games are smaller, so I figured, well, maybe I can hide them in the back. Now, the stand swivels. And then on either side, I've got some of these old Atari racks here. Just spray painted black to match the rest of the cabinet. These are the typical ugly 70s brown. You can find these things all over eBay most of the time. So I can fit quite a few games in here, and sadly this is a lot of the 7800 library. But there's some good games in here. Got all my power ready to go. Easy to switch on and off. Only two things, the Atari and the TV itself. I don't have this modded for a composite connection. I just have an RF connection. I'd like to get the mod for composite someday, but this is the way I grew up playing Atari, so frankly, it doesn't bother me that much, and Joust is great whether it's a little snowy or not. Being able to swivel the TV was something that I realized was just as valuable and a lot more practical than the wheels I had on my Nest stand. The Nest stand you could pretty much roll anywhere, and I never rolled it anywhere because there was never any need to move it out of the living room. So why build in a feature that I didn't need? The TV is also attached in the back with a few zip ties through the antenna holder. So you couldn't take that TV out without ripping the cabinet apart anyway. So it's not a safety risk or anything for the TV slipping it out. You can pick it up two guys on the side or one guy in the front and move it around. And it's pretty easy and pretty solid to move around. This was a simple and relatively quick little set to make. I actually like it better than my original Nintendo stand. I'm curious to see if anybody else feels the same way. I think this is a little more elegant and a little more sleek. And really the Atari 7800 is a nice, versatile system. It's a great way to get started playing and collecting Atari. There's wonderful creators like Pac-Man Plus at Atari Age that are still making homebrews, converting arcade games, making sure that there's still things to play on this system going forward into the future. You've got lots of great arcade conversions in the 7800 library, a few pretty good originals like Scrapyard Dog and Midnight Mutants, and you've got pretty much the entire 2600 library at your disposal. So if you're going to start collecting Atari, I really feel like the 7800 is a great way to start. I can't recommend it enough. There's a great community at Atari Age, pretty laid back guys that know a lot about Atari, are very welcoming of newcomers, and, actually like playing Atari. Not just talking about it, not putting it on a shelf. They like playing Atari. Did you play Atari today? You could.